Good evening, guys. Hope you're doing well. My name is Dr. Nanette K. Hartley. I will be your instructor for Chemistry 111. I wanted to give you a little walkthrough on D2L today. I have an opportunity for you guys to potentially attend my in-person class. I'm going to offer that as a live WebEx. So if you have time and you have the availability to attend it, that's great. If you want to, it's not required, not at all. So you can do that. I will be recording that. Hopefully that will go well and you will be able to get everything you need out of that recording. If you can't and you need something like you can't hear that, you can't see things, let me know and we'll do something else. But that is my plan, is to do it that way at this point. So that's what will happen on Monday, is I will do that recording and I will get that uploaded sometime Monday, probably Monday evening, because I'm in class and in lab all day Monday. So hopefully that will get loaded probably about 5 o'clock on Monday, and you'll be able to review that and see how that goes. And again, if you have any feedback about it, let me know. There are a couple of things that I will talk about in terms of course structure that you will see from that. So we'll see how that goes. Now I'm going to walk you around in D2L. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. What you're looking at here is the D2L shell for your course. Now notice there is nothing on the course announcements yet. I'm still making some modifications to some files, and I apologize that it's taken me this long to do that, but I keep finding errors and I keep trying to fix everything before everything gets loaded. So I will have everything you need at least for exam 1 by the end of next week. It should be everything by the end of next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend. So that should be what's happening. If that doesn't happen, I will keep you apprised of what exactly is going on. What you will see here is that in this activity feed, this is where I'm going to be doing all important announcements for the course. So if we have to make changes to dates, rooms, things like that, that will go there. This course announcements will have information about the structure of the course documents, things like that, so that you have that always available to you, so that you can go back to it as a resource. One of the things that you will see there, I'm going to show you, is the checklist. So your first checklist is the welcome start here. And what you'll see in this checklist is that there are a bunch of items that you are expected to look through. There's a bunch of instructor information, some course documents. All of these you can check off as you do them. This will show you how to get us signed up for ALEKS, which is where all of our graded homework will be done. So you need to have an assignment through ALEKS. You need to make sure that you have that set up by the 12th. If you don't have that done, that is considered non-compliance for attendance to the class, so you will be dropped. I'll give you a tour of the site, and then you'll have your first homework assignment, which is the scavenger hunt. When we're talking about things like that checklist, you will see, and that will give you information about everything that's going on. As far as everything is graded for the course, that's in the assignments. So everything that is graded for this course has a listing here in the assignments: the scavenger hunt, the acknowledgement activity, both of which go into the homework. You'll see stuff for the lab, okay, summaries and pre-labs, post-labs, notebook, and the Excel sheets for those that have them. I have a document about the lab notebook that we'll talk about in a few minutes for what I'm looking for the lab notebooks, but I need you to turn in copies of your lab notebooks, because you need to be practicing taking a lab notebook even though you're not physically in the lab. You need to be simulating the activities as if you were. So you will get data to go with each of those labs that you will then record in that lab notebook. And I need to see copies of that lab notebook so that I can grade that along with everything else. You'll also see information about what goes in ALEKS, and this link will take you to ALEKS, and this will tell you the name of what assignment there is in ALEKS for that. Every topic that we cover has something in ALEKS that you need to do. Not every topic has a lab that goes with it, but there is an assignment in ALEKS for everything that we do. So that's all of that stuff there. You will also see that there's exam scratch. So when you guys take your exams, I expect you to use scratch paper and to write things down. You will see in my document it says no work equals no credit. So if I don't see any associated work to go with your problems, then you get no credit, even if you get the right answer. I don't care about the answer. I care about the work. So I need to see your scratch paper. That should be turned in within 24 hours of you taking the exam. Okay, I've given you a slight window to be able to turn them in just in case you forget to do it right when you take the exam. But those need to come in to me. And again, no work, no credit. All of your exams will get partially graded based on true, false, that kind of stuff. But I will have to go back and hand grade everything else. So I will have those back to you within a week of when you have finished them. So when the window closes, you will have them back and you will get feedback for all of that. I will actually mark up anything that I can and give that back to you as I can. You'll see that there's also an ALEKS Pi progress and an ALEKS total grade that you get for those. And I want scratch work for all of your exams, including your lab final. So that is everything that goes on in there. There are a couple of labs that are in ALEKS, so you need to make sure that you set those up as well. Now, as far as the information and the content, I'm not viewing this as a student because not all of this is currently visible to you. There are course documents. All of these documents are here in the course documents. So you'll see the syllabus, the lecture schedule, lab syllabus and schedule, the syllabus addendum, my course policies, your notebook format. Again, this is where you'll see everything about how I expect you to keep a notebook. The exam handouts, the lab manual, and the technology requirements. Okay, this is just information for you. And then this is about the ALEKS, and this will take you into how to get connected to ALEKS. You'll click this little ALEKS button, and that will get you connected and also get your grades connected so that they can flow into D2L from ALEKS. Okay, so that is how you get into ALEKS. Now, ALEKS contains not only your homework, but also things like where the textbook is and where there are there's a way to get to all of the assignments that are there. Okay, so there is some guidance for how to do that. That's in that checklist that you're going to be doing at the very beginning. Within each of the topics that we're going to be covering, there is a folder for each exam. These folders contain all of the information that will be covered on that exam. Now, typically what I do is exam 1 covers lectures 1 through 6. Okay, we also have lecture 0 that goes first, but 1 through 6, and then we'll do lecture 7 and then have the exam. Lecture 7 is not on that exam, but it gives you a little more time, the bigger window to assimilate information from lecture 6 before we take the exam. So that's how that works. Everything that's within each exam is for that test. Okay. Within each one, if there is a subsection, i.e. if there are labs that go with that material, then you'll see the stuff for the lab as well. Within each lab, you will see that there's the lab manual, and then the lab summary, the post lab, and the lab notebook. So those are assignments where you can turn those in. So this is where you would turn in your lab 6 summary and pre-lab turn in for that. So everything will be in the assignments for the things that you have to turn in. I expect you to make PDF copies of everything to turn in for me. That way that I can grade them. If you don't know how to make PDF copies, please let me know, and I will be happy to walk you through that because I'm pretty well versed in how to do it. So let me help you with that. Okay. As I mentioned with the content, not everything is uploaded yet. I keep finding mistakes on things and I keep trying to fix everything. So not everything has been uploaded yet, but there is material in here for the second lecture, which is on Wednesday of next week. On Monday, we will be doing the review from 110, and that lecture I am still finishing up and putting together. That will go up tomorrow. But what you will find within each of these things, there is the lecture itself. So there's a PowerPoint that goes with it. You will then see in-class questions. So when I work with my students in class, after we have completed the lecture and we've done all of the examples in class and people have worked examples in class, all of that, I give them these worksheets that we can sit and work together. Okay, so these are optional things that people are given. You will also be given answer keys for these. You will see that the availability of the questions is 2 days before each lecture. So this lecture is going to be done on the 11th. Then the questions become available on the 9th, so 2 days before. That way you could print them if you wanted to have them when the lecture is done. The answer sheet will be available 2 days after that, so on the 13th. You'll also see that there is a practice set of questions. These are questions that I have written that I think you should be able to answer based on what we talked about in the lecture. Okay, so these are very similar to what I would put on an exam. So they're here for you to learn what those exams are going to be like, right? Again, these will be made available the day of the lecture, and there will be an answer key that is made available 2 days later. Now you'll see that there's an error in this particular answer key, so I need to fix that. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. I'm trying to get as much of that cleaned up before you guys get it as I can. So you will see that those come available 2 days after that lecture. So that way you have time to work on those questions on your own before you look at how I solved them, right? Now, I understand that we don't necessarily have fixed times when we're going to meet. I will have some office hours that are available. I am also going to try and set a 2-hour window for your class and your class alone, time when I am available for you to meet with me. I will be asking questions on the discussion board to see when is a good time for us to do that. Not everybody will be able to make it, and I understand that. I will do everything I can to accommodate whatever questions you have in any way you may be able to give them to me, be it phone, be it email, be it WebEx, whatever, okay? I will do everything I can to be available to you. And if there's anything that you don't understand that we've been talking about, in the lecture, in what I'm doing on the worksheets, any of that, please let me know. It is my job to make you understand or to help you to understand. And that means that if I haven't done that in the first pass, then I need to make sure that you guys understand. So let me know what you need, and I will be happy to try and give you that. Now, like I said, I am going to be recording my lecture as I give it in class. So that's a 2-hour block. We typically talk about a subject for a little while, and then I show a problem. I then give another problem, give people a little time to work on it, and then I show how I would solve that. Then I give another set of questions for people to work on their own, and then I will walk through that as well. So, it's again, show how I do it, ask you to do it, and then show you how I do it, and then ask you how to do it and show you how I do it again. That's the goal, is to make sure that we do that multiple times for every kind of question that we're going to be doing. It's a lot of problem solving. Unfortunately, that's what this class is about, is a lot of problem solving. And so we'll talk about the strategies for how do we get information out of those questions to isolate what we need. How do we set up the mathematics that we do to solve that question? How do we look at that question to say, okay, what do I know? What don't I know based on the information that we've talked about? I'll talk some about test taking techniques because I used to teach that as well. So I'll talk to you about how we can eliminate, especially for multiple choice, how can we eliminate answers? How can we do rationality checks to see if this is a reasonable answer for something? Not everything is meant to be, a straightforward question. Sometimes I want to know what your thought process is. So I ask some strange questions sometimes just to see what you're thinking. So there is that. And so don't get thrown off by that. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk some about the scientific method. While I understand that you guys aren't physically in the lab, it is important that you understand that what we're doing in the lab, what we're trying to do with that, is to show you, one, how we can illustrate these concepts and show you what they look like. Two, how this was actually looked at in the past. How did we get to the information that we're now teaching you? And that's based on the experiments that we're doing there. So how do we develop a hypothesis that we're looking at? We have an idea of what we think this is going to do based on what we know. Okay, great. So I have an idea. I should have some idea what I'm looking for when I go into lab. I then test that idea. Then I collect some data. And then I see, does that data support my hypothesis or does it not? And it could be either. And if it doesn't support that hypothesis, is that because the hypothesis was wrong? Or because there was something that I did that wasn't exactly the way it should have been? that happens all the time. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going into the lab and not doing it right the first time. There's always a learning curve for doing that. But we have to be able to evaluate the work that we've done to be able to see, should I have done something differently? Okay, so that's what some of these questions are designed to do. The questions in the summary and the post lab are meant to ask you, is there something you should have done differently? Is there something you could have done differently? Is there something that was done that wasn't right? You know, and if that's the case, I mean, I know that we don't do this in our labs here, but if I was really working, I would have to go back and look at this again. Should I change anything the next time I go because of what I found? Okay, so that's the kind of thing that we're looking at in terms of the laboratory. So those are some of the other things that we're going to be talking about. So those are the things that you'll find for each of the topics that we're going to be covering. Okay. Again, I think that's most of what I want to talk about at this point. I hope I haven't forgotten anything. I'm really sorry if I did. But if you have any questions, comments, problems, anything whatsoever, I will view this as a student for just a moment so that you can see when you come into this checklist that you will get on the first page, it will have all of my contact information. This is my name, Nanette K. Hartley, prefer Nan. There's some information about me and who I am. This is my email address. This is my office phone number. This is my office location. Okay. I do have some of my office hours that I hold in the 700 building because my lecture is an hour and a half before the lab, and I don't want to change buildings, so I'm just going to stay there to do that. But again, virtually and in person, I will have office hours Monday and Wednesday, 10 to 11. I will be holding those in the 700 building on the 3rd floor. Tuesday from 9:30 to 3 or by appointment. And again, if you can't make any of those times, that's fine. I am perfectly willing to make appointments at other times. Okay. If you have any questions, please let me know. All right. There is an introductory video, which I'm recording right now, that you will be asked to watch. So there's all of that. As far as the documents go, let's go through a couple of documents. Please understand that some of these documents are mine, some of them are not. So the course syllabus is departmental. Anything that is in this syllabus, I cannot change. Anything that's here, I cannot change. So what I am expected to cover cannot change. What textbook we use, the lab manual, all of that stuff is required. All right. For the lab, you are expected to have a bound non-spiral notebook. You don't need safety glasses because you're not physically coming, but you will need to know to have a lab notebook that you are then recording things. We have course objectives. This is the grading policy. So you'll see your final exam is 20%, your tests are 35%, your homework is 20%, and the lab counts for 25% of that grade. When we look at the lab syllabus, this is the schedule that we're doing. 2 of these are ALEKS-based labs only, right? The grading for the lab itself is a little bit different, and you should be able to see that. Where the heck is that? Sorry. I know that there is a breakdown of how the grade for the lab has come up. It is derived somewhere. Okay, I can't find it. I'll have to find it. Sorry. There is a schedule of when we're going to be covering all of these materials. So this is when I will be covering it in the lecture. My expectation is that you will cover it at a similar time. And you can watch it whenever you feel like. That's entirely up to you. And what you'll see is that the D2L for each exam is due 2 days before the exam window starts. I really don't recommend waiting until that time to do all of that because ALEKS takes time. So it is not a good idea to wait until the last minute. But that is something that is available to you so that you have that time. Now, if you don't get to do it before that exam, it is still open to you until the end of the term. But there is a penalty for getting it done after the exam. Okay, it's a 40% penalty for turning it in late. Okay, so make sure that you're that. So this is the days that we'll be doing those labs. Here's my syllabus addendum. It has some expectations, things that you need to know about what we're going to be doing. all of your exams will be available on D2L for 2 days. So those are all in your schedule. So you'll see right here, 27th to the 29th is test 1 that covers lectures 1 through 6. February 10th to 12th is test 2. February 22nd to 24th is test 3, and the final is the 27th of February. Okay. And actually, I don't remember what that window is because it should actually be a bigger window than that. The lab final is the 4th to the 16th. So I need to check and modify this because you do have a window for the final as well. That's when the lecture final is, but I think that the final window opens at 25th and closes at 27th. Pretty sure that's correct because we have stuff that has to get turned in. So syllabus addendum, again, things that go on. I will offer review sessions before each exam and the final. I will give you times for when that's going to happen. Those will be based on the reviews that I will put on D2L, which will have answers with them. Here are my course policies, things that I expect you guys to be working with. One of the big things out of that I'm going to mention at this point, no work equals no credit. That's one thing. And you need a scientific calculator that you're using. You cannot use your phone. Okay, that is not an acceptable way to be doing calculations on the exams. And you will need to show that when you take the exam. Okay. This is about the notebook format. Again, if you have any questions about the notebook format, please let me know. You are expected to have a bound notebook to do this. So you'll see everything that needs to happen here. So I have examples of all of that in this. And if you have any questions about that, please let me know. These are your exam handouts. So this is a document that I give to my students when they physically take the exam. I encourage people to print this out to work with as they're going through the lectures and the practice, not in ALEKS, okay? Because the data is slightly different than what you'll find in ALEKS, and ALEKS will freak if you use different data, okay? The number of sig figs you'll end up with rounding errors, stuff like that. So don't use that data for ALEKS, okay? But for everything else, this will show you everything that you will have access to other than the exam itself on the exam. If you're going to have this and print this, have this to use on the exam, it needs to be a clean copy, i.e. nothing written on it other than what is here. Okay, and I need to see that, have you show that when you do take your exams. Okay, now if for some reason you think that you would rather take the exam in person as opposed to on D2L, I can set an exam up for you in the testing center. That's perfectly fine. Or if you can make it into my physical room, then I can do it for you then. That's entirely up to you. This is the lab manual. Just let me know if you need to take it any other way. And I think that's everything. Pretty sure that is everything that you need to see. And this is the lab schedule. So, and then all of the documents that are required for the lab are also in here, but you will also find them with the assignments. If you go in as a student into the assignments, you will see that the documents that are due for each of these things are here. So, but in case you need to find them some other time, there is that lab section also available to you. So again, I think that is everything. I don't think there's anything else that I need to talk to you about, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I apologize, to be honest, I swear. I always do this when I record. It's a reflex of some sort, and I'm sorry about that. So like I said, let me know if you have any questions, any comments, problems, anything, and we'll see what we can do. Okay? I look forward to working with you guys. I hope we have a great semester, and I will talk to you soon.